Hello units, a very good evening to everyone. Myself Vinod, and today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic and which plays a key role in entire DC machines. Now before entering into the subject, let us understand what is the main difference between AC generator and DC generator. We all very well know that AC generator means the induced voltage is alternating in nature and the output of that alternator is anyway alternating voltage. But coming to DC generators, the induced voltage is alternating in nature, but the output of the DC generator is DC voltage, and that is possible with the help of a special device in a DC machine. And the name itself indicates a DC generator means the output is anyway a DC voltage, and that is possible with a device that is nothing but a commutator. And today we are going to learn about that one, a special device that is commutator. And now, a commutator is a device which is used to convert an induced alternating voltage into direct voltage. And to understand that commutation process, let me take a simple generator with two poles. I'm taking this is north pole, south pole, and I'm taking two conductors. One conductor is under north pole. Let me take this is A. One conductor is under south pole, and this is B. And imagine that these two conductors are rotating in clockwise direction with the help of a prime mover. Now, how to identify the polarity of the induced EMF in these conductors? And that is with the help of Fleming's right hand rule. And Fleming's right hand rule means stretch your three fingers perpendicular to each other, where this thumb indicates the direction of conductor movement and this forefinger indicates the direction of magnetic field, that is from north pole to south pole, where the central finger indicates the direction of an induced EMF. And coming to this conductor A, conductor is moving upwards, that is the conductor movement. My thumb is showing that conductor movement, and magnetic field is from north pole to south pole, and my central finger indicates the direction of induced EMF, that is into the plane, and that is cross polarity here. And now coming to the south pole, conductor is moving downwards and magnetic field is from north pole to south pole, and my central finger is showing the direction of an induced EMF, that is out of the plane. And let me draw the same figure in a more convenient way to understand the commutation process very easily. Let me take this is north pole, south pole. I am taking conductor A under north pole, conductor B under south pole. Now here we are seeing only the cross sectional view of the conductor A, but coming to here we are taking the full length of the conductor, and conductor under north pole, the front end is having cross polarity. I am taking the cross polarity here, and the back end will be dot polarity, and here this is dot polarity and the back end will be cross polarity. Now in order to add both the voltage of conductor A and conductor B, we will be taking the help of back end connections here, and the front end connections will be taken out here. And to these front end connections, we are connecting a special device in our DC machine, that is nothing but a commutator. And commutator is a circular cross sectional. A commutator is having circular cross section and cylindrical structure, and it is like looking like a cylinder, and a metallic device. I am repeating, commutator is a circular cross sectional, cylindrical structure, and metallic device. And this commutator is mounted on the rotor shaft. I am repeating, commutator is mounted on the rotor shaft. It means commutator is placed on the rotor shaft, indicating that the commutator is a rotating device. Yes, commutator is a rotating device which is rotating at a speed of rotor. And this commutator is not a single device, it is divided into number of segments. It is divided into number of segments. And these segments are separated by a medium which is nothing but an insulation. And we will be knowing why we are using this insulation here. And these are the segments, different types of segments. This is segment 1, this is segment 2, and I am taking this is conductor A, and now this conductor is permanently connected to the segment 1. let me take this segment A and this is segment B, and conductor A is permanently connected to segment A and conductor B is permanently connected to segment B. If suppose I am connecting this conductor B to segment A, what happens? Now both conductor A and conductor B will be short circuited. If both are getting short circuited, now what happens? A large circulating current may flow through these armature conductors, and because of that a huge heat will be generated and that armature winding may damage. So in order to avoid that short circuit across these armature conductors, we will be using the help of this insulation here. Now I am saying that this conductor A is permanently connected to segment A and conductor B is permanently connected to segment B. Once these connections are done, we cannot change those connections, right? Now these two segments are connected to another special device which is nothing but brush. I am taking one brush here. I am taking one more brush here. Let me take this is X and this is Y. And these brushes are stationary parts or rotating parts? Yes, brushes are always stationary and commutator is only a rotating device. And across these brushes, we are connecting a load circuit. We are connecting a load circuit across these brushes. Now what this load is going to expect, and we know that this load is expecting a DC voltage from the generator. Yes or no? Now this is a load. If we give DC supply to this load, okay, this will satisfy. Now to get DC supply across this, what is the condition? We will see now. Now from the starting of the lectures, we are observing that cross polarity means we are always taking it is a positive, and dark polarity means we are taking it is negative, and we are saying that conductor A is permanently connected to segment A and this is positive polarity, and the same positive polarity will appear here, and as this is negative polarity, the same negative polarity will come here, and the brush X is connected to segment A and the same positive polarity will experience by the brush X and the same negative polarity will be experienced by the brush Y. As this load circuit is connected across these brushes X and Y, this positive polarity will appear here and the same negative polarity will appear here. And this is the DC voltage across this load circuit. If this DC voltage is continuous throughout the operation of the machine, then we can conclude that output of that load circuit is a DC voltage. Now, if the conductors are rotated by 90 degrees. If these conductors are rotated by 90 degrees, what happens? Now this conductor A will come to this position and conductor B will come to this position. Now what is this position? Now this is nothing but a magnetically neutral axis where the voltage generated by these conductors is equals to 0. Now what we are doing is rotate these conductors by 90 more degrees. That means overall 180 degrees we are moving. That means the conductor A will come to south pole and conductor B will come to north pole. And let me draw the same figure after 180 degrees. Taking north pole, taking south pole. Now this is conductor B under north pole, conductor A under south pole, and again these conductors are rotating in clockwise direction with the help of prime movement. Now how to identify the polarity of this induced EMF? Yes, we know that by using Fleming's right hand rule. Now under north pole conductor will experience a cross polarity, under south pole conductor will experience a dark polarity with the help of Fleming's right hand rule. Now my conductor is moving upwards and magnetic field is from north pole to south pole, and my central finger indicates that the direction of induced EMF is into the plane. And here under south pole conductor is moving downwards, magnetic field is from north pole to south pole, and my central finger indicates the direction of an induced EMF which is out of the plane. And let me draw this figure in more convenient way so that we can understand easily. And I am taking north pole, south pole, I am taking again full length of the conductor and now this is conductor B and this is conductor A. Now conductor B under north pole is having cross polarity. I am taking the cross polarity here, and the back end will be dot polarity, and the front end is dot polarity here, and the back end will be cross polarity here. And again we will be using the help of back end connections to add the voltages of conductor A and conductor B, and the front end connections will be taken out here. And to these front end connections we are connecting again a commutator. And this commutator is having number of segments separated with the insulation medium. And we are saying that these conductors are permanently connected to these segments, and we know that this commutator is placed on the rotor shaft. That means after 180 degrees these conductors are rotating by exactly 180 degrees. That means conductor B will come to conductor A position and conductor A will come to conductor B position, and this is after 180 degrees rotation. And when these conductors are exactly rotated by 180 degrees, as these conductors are permanently connected to these commutator segments, this commutator is also rotating exactly by 180 degrees. Yes or no? Yes. Now this will be segment B and this will be segment A. Now this conductor B is permanently connected to segment B, and this conductor A is permanently connected to segment A. And these segments are connected to brushes. And is these brushes are moving in the same position? Yes, brushes are always stationary. Brushes will not move. Only commutator is rotating by 180 degrees when we rotate these conductors, and these brushes are always stationary. That means this brush X will remain same and Y will remain same, and a load circuit will be connected across these brushes. And this is load circuit, and this is brush X, and this is brush Y. Now let us understand the voltage across this load circuit. Now we are taking the positive polarity across cross, and we are taking the negative polarity across dot. And as this conductor is directly connected to, permanently connected to this segment B, and this will experience a positive polarity, and the same polarity will be experienced by the brush X. And as this is negative polarity, and the same polarity will be experienced by the segment A, and the same will be experienced by the brush Y. As brush X is having positive polarity, the same polarity will appear here. Brush Y is having negative polarity, the same polarity will appear here. Now you can understand in case 1 and case 2. Case 1 and case 2 are having same polarity. Yes or no? As case 1 and case 2 both are having same polarity, that means we can conclude that the output of this generator is a DC voltage. If suppose after 180 degrees if the polarity is changing, then we can conclude that our commutation is failed. But compared to case 1 and case 2, we are getting the output voltage is same. That means we can say the final conclusion is the output voltage is a DC voltage. Yes or no? Now can you tell me, if I rotate the conductors for one more 180 degrees, now what happens? If I rotate these conductors for one more 180 degrees, again case 1 will come. Yes. Now in case 1, the voltage polarity is not going to change. Yes or no? Now if I rotate the conductors for one more 180 degrees, again case 2 will come. Again the output voltage polarity is not going to change. Then we can conclude that whatever may be the conductor position, the output voltage remains constant. Yes or no? That means the output voltage is definitely a direct voltage. We are saying that the output voltage is definitely a direct voltage, but why we are saying that inside the armature there is a AC voltage? So to understand that, don't take the entire machine, just consider the only conductor A. Now if you consider conductor A is having positive polarity here, and the same conductor A is having negative polarity here. Yes or no? Now if you consider conductor B, now conductor B is having negative polarity here, and the same conductor B is having positive polarity here. Now from this we can conclude that inside the armature conductors, the EMF induced is alternating in nature, but the output voltage is direct voltage. The output voltage is direct voltage. So the final conclusion is, in a DC generator, the EMF induced inside the armature is alternating in nature, and the output voltage across the load is direct voltage. Now, in order to understand this analysis, I will be drawing a waveforms so that we can get more observation from this. Drawing waveforms here so that we can observe more. I am taking conductor A voltage here with respect to time. This is conductor B voltage with respect to time. Again I am taking here total voltage. Total voltage means that is nothing but the output load voltage. This is the output load voltage. Now try to understand from the previous two cases that when conductor A under the influence of north pole, what is the polarity of that induced EMF? That is a positive voltage. Yes or no? When conductor A is under the influence of south pole, what is the polarity of that induced EMF? That is the negative. Yes or no? Now can you tell me the reason why I am drawing a flat tapped waveform here? And this is due to the presence of arc shaped pole shoe. And because of that arc shaped pole shoe, field flux is a flat tapped waveform. Field flux is a flat tapped waveform having zero voltage along interpolar axis. I am repeating, because of or due to the presence of arc shaped pole shoe in a DC machine, field flux is a flat tapped waveform having zero voltage along interpolar axis. And as a flux is a flat tapped waveform, the dynamically induced EMF is also a flat tapped waveform. Why? Because we know already dynamically induced EMF means E is equals to BLV. Yes or no? From this I can write E is directly proportional to flux. Yes or no? As this flux is a flat tapped waveform, this induced EMF is also a flat tapped waveform. Yes or no? And why this flux is a flat tapped wave? And due to the presence of arc shaped pole shoe. And what is the advantage of this flat tapped wave? More average voltage can be produced, therefore higher output voltages are possible. Therefore, the voltage across conductor A is alternating in nature. Yes or no? Now in the same manner I am taking the voltage across conductor B. Now when conductor A is under the influence of north pole, at the same instant conductor A will be under the influence of south pole. Yes. Then conductor B will be having a negative voltage. When conductor A is under the influence of south pole, conductor B will be under the influence of north pole. That means this is a positive voltage. Yes or no? Now try to understand that conductor A and conductor B are alternating in nature, but in our observation, when conductor A and conductor B are alternating in nature, the output voltage is AC voltage or DC voltage? Yes, output voltage is a DC voltage. Yes or no? But in the output, both conductor A voltage and conductor B voltage will be added. That means the total voltage is 2G here. The output voltage is 2G. After 180 degrees also, the conductor A and conductor B voltage will be added, and that is also 2G, and the polarity of that output voltage is not going to change. Now tell me one thing, when conductor A and conductor B are alternating in nature, the output voltage is a DC voltage, but the output voltage is a pure DC voltage or it is a rectified voltage? Yes, the output voltage looks like a rectified voltage. It is having some ripples in the output. The output voltage is having some ripples in the output. But what is our requirement? Our requirement, what we are expecting from the DC machine is a pure DC voltage. But what we are getting a rippled voltage in the output. So how to reduce these ripples in the output and how to make output voltage as a pure DC voltage? So now let's see that one. So far in our explanation, we have considered only two conductors. Yes or no? Conductor A and conductor B. That means only we considered single coil. But a practical machine will have only two conductors or more number of conductors? Yes, practical machine will have more number of conductors. Now let me take a practical machine and we will see how the ripples will be. I am taking a practical machine. North pole, south pole. I am taking two conductors here, conductor A, conductor B. Assume that these two conductors are rotating in clockwise direction with the help of a prime mover. Now conductor A under north pole having cross polarity and this is dot polarity. Now this is a single coil, one coil. Now let me take the second coil, conductor C, conductor D. This is cross polarity and this is dot. I am taking third coil. This is E, this is F, cross and dot. Now observe one thing. Now this conductor A belongs to coil 1, conductor C belongs to coil 2, conductor E belongs to coil 3. Now conductor A is having a phase angle difference of theta from coil C, conductor C. Now this conductor C is having a phase angle difference of theta from conductor E. Yes or no? And this is what we call it as a distributed winding. That means the voltage induced in conductor A is having a phase angle difference of theta from conductor C. And the voltage induced in conductor C is having a phase angle difference of theta from conductor E. Yes or no? Obviously, therefore conductor A and conductor C are not in phase. They are having some phase angle difference of theta. Yes or no? And let us take the same consideration here and we will try to understand what is going to happen. Right? And presently, whatever of the waveforms we have done, this is for only single coil. Yes or no? Now, try to understand that this is the one coil voltage and at this instant, this is the coil voltage E. One coil voltage is E. And at this instant, what is this voltage? This voltage is exactly is equals to 0. Yes or no? Now, if this E, assume that if this E is 100%, the 0 will be exactly 0%. Yes or no? Then what is the percentage change in voltage here? 100% change. That means that is nothing but there is a 100% change in ripple factor. Yes or no? Now, when we are taking only single coil, there is a 100% ripple factor. So, because of that, so many ripples are coming here. Now, let us assume that two conductors or two coils we have. The machine is having two coils here. But when we take two coils, there is a phase angle difference between one coil to the next coil. Yes or no? Now, let me take that phase angle difference here. Now, the second coil voltage is overlapping the coil 1 voltage with a phase angle difference of theta. Now, at this instant, you tell me now how many coil voltages we have? Two coil voltages. That means two coil voltages means I can take this is 2E. Now, at this instant, you tell me how many coil voltages are there? Only one coil voltages. That means one coil voltage means I can take it is E. Now, when this 2E is 100%, this E is nothing but 50%. Yes or no? Now, what is the percentage change here? 50% change. When we are using two coils in a machine, what is the percentage change in ripple factor? Only 50%. Now, if I take three coils here, if I take three coils, what is the EMF? What is the voltage here? This is 3E and this will be 2E. If this 3E is 100%, what is this 2E? This is 66%. Therefore, what is the change in percentage ripple factor? Only 33%. Yes or no? Now, if I take 100 conductors, if that machine is having only 100 conductors, now this is 100E and this will be 99E. Why 99E? Why? Because at any instant only one coil voltage will be is equals to 0. Therefore, what is the percentage change in ripple factor? Only 1%. That means can I neglect that 1%? Yes, if I neglect that 1%, therefore the output voltage is like a pure DC voltage. Yes or no? That means we can reduce that ripples in the output voltage by connecting more number of coils in series. Yes or no? By connecting more number of coils in series, we can reduce the percentage ripple or ripples in the output voltage. Now can you tell me, at any instant we are saying at any instant only one coil voltage will be is equals to 0. Now can you expect which coil is having 0 voltage? Yes, simple. That is along this axis. This is nothing but MNA axis, magnetically neutral axis. That means the axis along which the output voltage of the conductor is equals to 0. That means simply whatever may be the conductor along MNA axis will be having an output voltage is equals to 0. Yes or no? That means we can reduce the ripples in the output voltage by connecting more number of coils in series. Yes. So we can get the output voltage like a pure DC voltage. Yes. So this is what the observations, and this is what the commutator and brush action to convert the induced alternating voltage into direct voltage. Let us consider this conductor A induces a voltage of 25 volts, conductor B induces a voltage of 25 volts. Then what is the total voltage across this coil? This is 50 volts. Why these two voltages are added here? Because the opposite polarities are connected with the help of back-end connections. Now tell me one thing, as the voltage across this coil is 50 volts, now can I not say the voltage between these two adjacent commutator segments is also 50 volts? Why? Because this conductor A is permanently connected to segment A and conductor B is permanently connected to segment B. Yes, that means the voltage across this coil is equals to the voltage between two commutator segments. Now I can conclude a statement. Voltage across a coil is equals to voltage between two commutator segments. Now observe here, voltage across the coil is 50 volts, voltage between commutator segments is 50 volts. It means indirectly the voltage between this insulation is also 50 volts. I can say this insulation is designed to withstand a capacity of 50 volts. Yes or no? But unfortunately, during the operation of machine, instead of 50 volts, the induced voltage is 70 volts. What happens? Because of this excessive voltage, this insulation will breaks down. When this insulation breaks down, these two commutator segments will get short circuited. These two commutator segments will get short circuited. Now my question is, what happens if there is a short circuit between these two commutator segments? Because of this short circuit between these two high voltage conductors, a large circulating current may flow, and because of that a huge heat will be generated and armature conductors may burn out. It means the voltage across the coil is a limited value or unlimited value? Yes, the voltage across the coil is a limited value. In practical machines, the voltage across the coil is limited from 40 to 50 volts. In practical machines, voltage across a coil is limited from 40 to 50 volts. Now if you want to induce more voltage, what happens? This insulation gets breakdown. Now without damaging this insulation, if I want to induce more voltage over here, what we need to do? We need to increase this width of this insulation. If you increase the width of the insulation, the commutator action will get more complex. That means therefore this insulation width has a limit. When insulation width has a limit, that insulation voltage also has a limit. And in practical machine, that voltage is limited to 40 to 50 volts. Yes or no? But When one coil voltage is limited to 40 to 50 volts, then how a DC generator will induce 500 volts, 1000 volts or 2000 volts like that? It's very simple. This voltage is limited for only one coil. If you want to induce more voltage, connect more number of coils in series so that higher output voltages are possible. So this insulation width has a limit, and that voltage is limited to 40 to 50 volts, and this limit is for only one coil. And if you want to increase and if you want to generate more voltage, connect more number of coils in series so that higher output voltages are possible. So let me conclude this session here, and we will discuss more topics in the next video. Thank you.